Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel, Pharma World. Today's topic is data integrity. Let us see the definition of data integrity as per MHRA. Data integrity is the degree to which the data are complete, consistent, accurate, trustworthy, reliable, and that these characteristics of the data are maintained throughout the data life cycle. The data should be collected and maintained in a secure manner so that they are attributable, legible, contemporaneously recorded, original, and accurate. Assuring data integrity requires appropriate quality and risk management systems, including adherence to sound scientific principles and good documentation practices. What is data? It is the facts, figures, numerical numbers, and statistical evaluation. All these aspects are considered as data. The data is objective evidence of the results of the activity. What is integrity? By definition, it is honesty, ethics, morals, truthfulness, sincerity, etc. So, the data integrity is the right attitude to record the data with the characteristics of the integrity. Let us see the prescription of MHRA guideline. The data is required for further analysis or reference. Obviously, the data has to be trustworthy and no dishonesty or falsification. Another important point is that the data is supposed to be maintained throughout the life cycle. Life cycle approach means as long as the product is being manufactured. So all the data has to be secure for long periods. A detailed risk assessment has to be carried out for establishing such an effective system of compliance to data integrity. The data has to have characteristics of attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate. Easier way to remember this sequence is ALCOA, ALCOA. Attributable means who did the job. Identification of the person who carried out the activity. Legible means the information should be clear and readable by all in the same way. Contemporaneous means the recording should be done at the actual time of operation. Original means recording on the official format and not on a separate record and transcribed later. Accurate means true value. This is defined in the MHRA guideline. What is data governance? Data governance is the sum total of arrangements which provide assurance of data quality. These arrangements ensure that data, irrespective of the process, format, or technology in which it is generated, recorded, processed, retained, retrieved, and used, will ensure a attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, accurate, complete, consistent, enduring, and available throughout the data life cycle. Data governance means it is the sum total of all arrangements which provide assurance on the data quality with the typical characteristics of ALCOA throughout the life cycle of the product. This is referenced in WHO document QAS 19.819 revision 1 and PICS guideline PI 041 revision 1. Let us move forward on understanding the requirements of data integrity. The organization should take full responsibility for an effective system to ensure complete and consistent data. As a whole, the organization is responsible for generation, evaluation, and archival of the data that should be done honestly. Obviously, we need an effective system to encompass all requirements. The system should be designed well with an effective working environment and should encourage quality culture among the participants. This is important point. The quality culture should be honest. This should be a second habit for the participants all across the organization. That means the quality attitude should be characteristic or instinctive. A data integrity risk management where the processes that produce data are mapped out and each of the formats and their controls are identified and the data criticality and inherent risks documented. Always remember that a detailed risk assessment would provide path forward for designing any effective system. Mapping of data means how each data generation point is identified and the risk involved identified. Then it should be linked to several controls, either manual or electronic or both. The risk assessment should consider the inherent criticality of the data as the prime focus. Let us examine the elements in risk determination. The risks for data to influence the quality, safety, and efficacy are determined by the potential to delete, amend, or excluded without authorization and the opportunity to detect such incidents. Delete, amend, or exclude are the three most problematic elements to risk the quality of the data generated. So the system should focus to have controls on these elements. Unless there is a justifiable reasoning, these aspects should be disabled for the line operators. Even the supervisory levels should justify any changes and record the details fully. Data may be generated by paper, electronic, hybrid, or other type. Data may be a paper document or electronic document or both. Automated validated systems may lower but not eliminate data integrity risk. Automated systems are also not free from such potential anomalies, but the risk may be low because the controls are automatic. Where there is human intervention, particularly influencing how or what data is recorded, reported, or retained, an increased risk may exist from poor organizational controls or data verification due to an over-reliance on the system's validated state. Where human intervention is there, the risk is higher. Also, poor organizational controls and overconfidence on the automated system operation can lead to data integrity issues. Let us look into the salient features that are required for designing of the data integrity system. At the point of use, having access to appropriately controlled synchronized clocks for recording timed events to ensure reconstruction and traceability. It is important to have clocks at the actual operating areas. Here you should know that it should be synchronized to all other clocks in the manufacturing area to have same time displayed all across other clocks. This would help for traceability and reconstruction of the event. Control of accessibility of records, blank papers at locations where activities take place so that informal data recording and later transcription to official records does not occur. Control of blank papers should be through a detailed document control system. The procedure should describe How the blank records are issued, reconciled after use. To the extent possible, avoid using blank white papers. These white papers or even uncontrolled books are a source of original data that will be transcribed into the original record later. User access rights that prevent or arbitrary if prevention is not possible, unauthorized data amendments should be in place. User access rights are generally referring to electronic data as it can be attributed to a particular person through a code. However, manual entry also should have such controls to identify the participant who carried out the activity. It could be reflected in the job responsibilities. A detailed user access matrix could be a supporting document for easy reference. Either prevention of misuse of user access rights or arbitrary provision should be there to find out for any such accesses. Control over reconciliation of controlled printouts. As discussed above, all controlled printouts should be reconciled. Use of scribe. When there is a possibility of compromising the product quality, example, sterile operations for contemporaneous recording, another person can record on behalf of the actual operator. A scribe is the one who records on behalf of the actual participant. This is allowed only when there is a potential for the product quality compromised. Typical example is sterile operation. The operator may not be in a position to intervene for recording contemporaneously. That means at the time of actual operation. In such cases, a scribe is allowed to record contemporaneously. To accommodate culture or literacy or language limitations, a scribe can be used. Certain cases, the operator may not have adequate literacy or knowledge of the language. In such cases also, a scribe is acceptable. In these situations also, the data recording should be contemporaneous. The person performing the activity may sign retrospectively. So it is important that the actual operator should sign the data retrospectively. That means a little later. Let us see certain definitions. Data is facts, figures, and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. We know that the data is numerical figures, information about the activity done. This data is used for further analysis for evaluation of product quality. ALCOA, ALCOA, and ALCOA Plus, ALCOA Plus. It is an acronym. ALCOA is an acronym referring to attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, and accurate. The ALCOA Plus has 4 more points: complete, consistent, enduring, and available. Raw data, it's a part of the data, it is the original data. Metadata describes attributes of the data and provide context and meaning. These attributes describe structure, data elements, interrelationship, and other characteristics. Example, audit trail. This data helps to construct the event with accuracy. This will address elements of who, what, when, and why of the event. This is exactly the meaning of audit trail. You should remember the word trail. Trail means series of actions one after the other with a definite meaning. You can also say it is a chain of information. Don't get confused with similar sounding word trial. The meaning of this trial may be a dummy run or a tryout. I hope you understand the difference between these two words. The examples of metadata speaks more. Data recorded is 3.5. There is no context or meaning for this entry. Meaningful data is 3.5 mg sample, batch number 1234, 1052 29 521 QC 012 ABC constructs the data as 3.5 milligrams of sample was weighed by ABC at 10:52 hours on May 29, 2021 on the analytical balance QC012. Yet another example is data recorded in a batch record is 105. The meaningful data could be 105 kg sodium chloride, reference number 456, at 11 hours on 29/5/21 by PQR, which indicates the details of the actual activity done. Let us see what is data lifecycle. All phases in the life of the data from generation and recording through processing, including analysis, transformation or migration, use, data retention, archive, retrieval and destruction. It is start to finish of all data for analysis and evaluation of the product quality. From data generation till the destruction after the archival period is completed is considered as data life cycle. So all phases include while generating the data, while referring for analysis, while storage of data, while transferring into electronic or other forms for the entire product life cycle of the product. Let us see how data should be recorded and collected. The effective system for recording and collection should ensure that appropriate, correct, true data along with metadata is recorded with accuracy and completeness with a meaning for its intended use. The correct true data should be recorded with metadata. The metadata should help to reconstruct the event or activity. When dynamic electronic storage system in place, it is not good practice for static or printed manual recording. When there is a provision for storage in interactive electronic system for any activity, manual printed static format is not acceptable. All blank formats should be controlled and reconciled after use. Numbered sets of blank forms may be issued and reconciled upon completion. Similarly, bound paginated notebooks stamped or formally issued by a document control group allow detection of unofficial notebooks and any gaps in the notebook pages. All blank formats and registers but numbered should be reconciled. That means there should be a record on how many forms or registers used and whether or not the completed ones are deposited back in the document control team and reconciled. It is something like a balance sheet. The input and output should be 100% tallied. Let us discuss on data transfer and migration. Data transfer is the process of transferring data between different data storage types, formats, or computerized systems. Data transfer is the immediate data transfer into a retrievable data format. This is stored as online hot backup. This data will be used for further analysis. There will be a frequency to do a cold backup, which is done every week or appropriately. Data generated for the entire period specified will be transferred to a secure storage. The storage should be measured and transferred in megabytes units. Data migration is the process of moving stored data from one durable storage location to another. This may include changing the format of data but not the content or meaning. This will be used as a disaster recovery management. In this, data migration will be moving from one secure storage to another secure location. Data transfer migration procedures should be robustly designed and validated to ensure that the data integrity is maintained during the data lifecycle. In either case, the system should be robustly designed to ensure data integrity throughout the life cycle of the product. Let us see how the data processing is done. This is a sequential process of extracting data and obtain in a defined format like statistical evaluation or conversion of a raw electronic signal to a chromatogram and subsequently a calculated numerical result. Data processing is converting electronic signals into readable numerical figures and chromatograms for meaningful data for evaluation. There should be adequate traceability of any user-defined parameters used within data processing activities to the raw data, including attribution to who performed the activity. There should be a traceability maintained for all the processings. In all these phases of processing, audit trail should allow reconstruction of sequence of events. So, in all the cases, who, what, when, and why are the event should be traceable. Some important definitions are provided below. Original record is the first or source capture of data or information. Example, original paper record of manual observation or electronic raw data file from computerized system and all subsequent data required to fully reconstruct the conduct of the GXP activity. Original records can be static or dynamic. The first record on official document only is considered as original record. It can be manual entry into a batch record or an electronic entry in a HPLC analysis. A static document is a printout of data, either manually entered or electronically printed. For example, a printout of a weight of a sample taken for analysis as an objective evidence is a static record. Running chromatograms of HPLC or GC are considered as dynamic records. A true copy is a copy irrespective of the type of media used of the original record that has been verified, that is by a dated signature or by generation through a validated process to have the same information including data that describe the context, content and signature as the original. A true copy may be a photocopy of the original or a handwritten document with exactly same information. It is a good practice to mark such copies as true copy either at the top of the document or at the bottom of the document. Let us understand the importance of computerized system transactions. A computerized system transaction is a single operation or sequence of operations performed as a single logical unit of work. The operations that makes a transaction may not be saved as a permanent record on durable storage until the user commits the transaction through a deliberate act, example, pressing a save button, or until the system forces the saving of data. Here, one important point to note: in the computerized transactions, you have online servers. The online servers serve the purpose of tracking all activities during the operation. By design, it highlights anything goes wrong in or any suspicion arises in the operation. That means it is designed to catch the offenders who try to manipulate the data. It catches all such liars. I would name these online servers as lie detectors. So let us not be liars. Let us be honest in our operations to report everything upfront and don't try to hide and get caught by the lie detector. We have a detailed procedure to investigate if something deviates. Let us see how the data review and approval is carried out. The approach should be to review the data along with metadata and audit trails. The review will be incomplete and inconclusive if all the metadata is not included. Also, audit trail is important on the timings of each operation and its connectivity to the next operation in sequence. There should be a provision to describe the actions to be taken for any errors, discrepancies, or omissions identified. In case of any errors found, there should be a provision for investigation and CAPA. There should be a provision for recording a conclusion following the review of original data, metadata, and audit trail records are documented, signed, and dated. Finally, there should be a conclusion on the evaluated result. Electronic signatures. It is a signature in digital form, biometric or non-biometric, that represents the signatory. This should be equivalent in legal terms to the handwritten signature of the signatory. Biometric fingerprint is considered equivalent and negotiable to handwritten signature. Numerical coding is also used as electronic signature. Electronic signature is something like a PIN number of your ATM card. This is confidential and you should not be shared to anyone. You lose greatly if you don't comply to this requirement of confidentiality. Let us see how the data is retained. Data should be retained in such a manner that they are protected, enduring, readily retrievable, and remain readable throughout the record's retention period. True copies of the original records may be retained in place of the original record where justified. Electronic data should be backed up according to a written procedure. Data and records should be kept in a secure area which provides appropriate protection. Access should be controlled. Retention periods should be defined in authorized procedures. Records reflecting documented reasons for the destruction of the data should be maintained. Copies of the data storage will be stored away from the site but easily accessible as a disaster management strategy. Since the data is sensitive and confidential for the product quality, access to refer, review, or take a copy of the document should be totally controlled through a detailed procedure. It should contain the details of the authorized persons to operate and record all the events happening in the document storage area. I hope you understood the basic requirements of data integrity. For more details, you can go through MHRA GXP Data Integrity Guidance and Definitions dated March 2018, WHO Working Document QAS 19.819 Revision 1 dated June 2020, and the PICS guideline PI 041 Revision 1 dated November 2018. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.